Well, here we are, ladies and germs. Um, in approximately 3 hours and 14 minutes, the next installment of my video in the video series about what was done to me by Sheriff Kevin Torgerson and Chief Deputy Brian Howard as they worked colluded, if you will, with um, Kelly Don Martinez of the Albert Lea City Attorney's Office, along with J.D. Carlson, the Director of Public Safety or Chief of Police of Albert Lea. That video comes out here in about, like I said, 3 hours and 14 minutes. I want to. Today is, and you'll know this from when you watch the video. Today is the 1 year commemoration of what started there, what happened. And if you're watching, please comment if you have any questions about what's coming up. Please feel free to ask if you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques about anything that I've said in the past. Please ask. Right now, now's the time to do that. I'm not going to do this for very long. Check out merch. Got my mugs. Got my coffee. Anybody who's tried it loves it. The acidity is extremely low. Everybody loves that. So yeah. Anyway, if you're watching this right now, please tune in to tonight to the YouTube channel, and it's a different video. And what I mean by different is I'm angry, but I'm not losing my temper. A couple of places where I start to get a little steamed, but I need you guys to understand that today's been a rough day. It was literally, I was at home. Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate that. Dustin has become a good ally in this. He understands corruption, and he understands what the thin blue line is really about, ultimately. But anyway, the first video, especially, I was pretty heated. This video, I'm emotional. I'm invested, but I'm calculated, and I'm going to continue to remain calculated going forward. I want you guys to see what I'm wearing here. I don't know if you can see this very well. It's a sweatshirt that I'm not used to this, that my platoon that I was on, and I was on this platoon for a long time, D platoon. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see this very well. I love that team. And I have not worn this sweatshirt for a year, and I wore it today as I was out getting groceries and stuff. Some of you have heard me talk about this a little bit. I miss my job. I miss my team. And some of you have heard me talk about the fact that I received a lot of life-saving awards. Not a lot, but I mean several. I'm going to burn this when the weather gets nice again. have at least 3 of these. I'm going to burn that one too. Here's another one. I'm going to burn that. These aren't in the video tonight. Tonight is strictly about the discipline process as it was done and handled. Here's another award, letter of commendation, or excuse me, what is this? Letter of recognition, excuse me. I want to make sure that I get that straight. It's a letter of recognition. This was given to me in April 6th of 2017. After we trained dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of new hires. I trained nonstop. Pretty much every day that I worked for 6 years. Very rarely was I ever without a new hire. My annual reviews were exemplary, or at least above average, or more than passable. The last annual review I received just prior to this day, 1 year ago, literally days before, I was several, like, tenths of a point shy of a perfect score. And that's not because the person who gave it to me was an easygoing guy. He was a hard-nosed, by-the-book policy and procedure guru. And that's why I want you guys to watch tonight. They didn't come after me for anything that I did related to my work. They came after me for rocking the boat. And that's why tonight's video is so incredibly important. I don't talk about it in the video. I do talk about it in the description, but there's a rumor going around the Rochester area that I'm lying about what happened, that I'm making it all up, and that I am being deceptive, that the truth is I'm a moral failure. And I'm like, there's on a theological, philosophical level, there's a lot of truth to that. But yeah, Dustin says it hurts really hard when government types dismiss your hard work for political BS. I know how it is. But there's an individual in Rochester who's smearing me, and I don't really care about him. He's worthless. I'm going to say he's a worthless piece of crap. But he's got a lot of people that follow him, because within the Patriot movement, there's kind of this radical element that loves shenanigans. There's this radical element that really loves a person who goes on and puts on this fancy little show and is willing to look like an idiot, even when they're supposedly really intelligent. You know, it shows up a kind of person that'll show up to a school board meeting wearing a full Muslim garb, like a burqa and a hijab and whatnot, and then stand up and address the school board with that kind of garb on, or comes in wearing a Jason style hockey mask. Those kind of people are worthless. They're one-offs. And this is the kind of person that's spreading rumors about me and that I've been lying about what happened to me at the sheriff's office, and allegedly is telling people that he's met with the sheriff and with Kevin the Tyrant Torgerson, and that Torgerson is going to release all the information about what happened with me, to set the record straight. But tonight's going to be the first of several videos where I release documentation, where I show documentation and what was actually said to me. And there's a section, and I'll be putting the actual unredacted video up. In the video tonight, there is going to be a part where you will watch and hear me interact with the chief deputy who was just following orders. His name's Brian Howard. And it's going to be a little hard for you to hear, which is why I'm going to put that particular video up on my Rumble channel so that you can hear it unredacted and hear just the asinine comments that are made by him, and show have it demonstrated just how out of his depth he was in what he was doing. He was literally just following orders. And that's what's wrong with the law enforcement career field right now. There are a lot of good cops out there. But if you look at what's happening in, let's say, Canada right now, the good cops aren't standing up. The good cops are not interposing themselves. They're not standing between the peaceful protesters in Canada and the cops that are just following orders. And if you're not willing to resist wickedness from your command structure, if you're not willing to interpose yourself between those that are just following orders and the citizenry, you're not a good cop. And this is directed at anybody in law enforcement right now. If you just are sitting back and you're not speaking out because you want to protect your job, you're not a good cop. Back the Blue is gone. It's time for conservatives and libertarians to stop just blatantly backing the blue. I was abused by the blue. The thin blue line, as I say in the description of my video, the thin blue line is not just a thin blue line. It is a, well, let's see. How did I word it? Sorry for the dead air here. I'm trying to figure out. Here's what I say in the description of the video, and it's linked in this. There is a blue line, but it isn't thin. It is a wide and tall blue line that separates free-thinking individuals from their liberties and serves only to protect the upper echelons of law enforcement from public scrutiny in the light of accountability. Ultimately, what it is a rock. There's a blue rock, and that rock will be dropped down on anybody in the ranks who dares to stand up and say enough is enough. I'm not taking part in this. And they will stretch and pull and twist and turn to find anything they can to silence you. And that is what has happened to me. And it has happened over and over and over and over and over again to law enforcement officers across this United States, especially over the last 2 years, who have said, I am not taking part in this. And as an example, the chief of the Albert Lea City Police, the director of public safety, J.D. Carlson, There we go. Sorry, it got washed out there for a second. J.D. Carlson, during the George Floyd related riots, when they showed up at Albert Lee for a protest, told his men that they would take a knee when everybody else took a knee. Could you imagine? Could you just, with me for a moment, imagine an officer or a deputy or a detective or some sort of other sergeant or a lieutenant or a captain who ordered his men to go out and side with peaceful protesters who are protesting on the part of democracy, who are protesting on the part of liberty, who are protesting on part of the Republic of the United States of America, and protesting on part of the Constitution and how our rights are being violated, and told them to go out and stand with them. There'd be hell to pay. That's why watching the video tonight is so incredibly important. And the link's going to be right here one more time. Here's someone, Elsa Blue Eyes. It is gone. I was NYPD in early 80s. I didn't want to be violent as the job required. Now I can't stand the Democrat-run police forces. Remember, those officers take Democrat orders. Yep. For those of you that can't see it in the chat, video tonight, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. The video premieres at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is not going to be like fiery and super exciting, and there's not going to be a lot of screaming and hollering. There's going to be a part where you're going to have to turn it up to hear everything that's being said in the video that I'm going to be playing. Remember, I'm going to put that video up as a separate entity on my Rumble channel to premiere shortly after the YouTube video premieres tonight, because I don't want anybody to think that I in any way, shape, or form redacted or edited or cut out or did anything misleading with that video, because I did not. That's not how I am. I don't believe in doing things like that. But I cannot emphasize enough. Today has actually been harder for me than the commemoration of the assault that happened 4 years ago in February. I believe it was February 2nd. Yeah. The night of February 2nd, 4 years ago. I was assaulted in the line of duty, and the individual who assaulted me asked if I was okay after the assault, and everybody told me, "Oh yeah, he's fine, he's gonna be okay." And he says, "Well, that's too bad. I'll finish the job at some point." That individual is now free, and it was a traumatic incident for me, and it did change me in how I handled things at work. I stopped. I never went back to being an FTO after that. Had plans in the works to do a mentorship program for the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office for new hires to be able to lean on an actual structured mentorship program. Never really got around to doing that. And some other things. It just kind of sapped some of my joy. That incident with the guy who wanted to kill me for no other reason than I was the person there was less traumatic than what started this day a year ago. And actually, it started on May 30th of 2020, but the official persecution, not prosecution, persecution of me as a deputy, conducting myself as a private citizen, started a year ago today. And that has been more trauma inflicting, more debilitating to me than pretty much anything else that ever happened to me in the line of duty. And the sad thing is that the Olmsted County Sheriff, Kevin Torgerson, and his sycophant simp, Brian Howard, Howard the Coward, and Torgy the Tyrant, spent thousands upon thousands of your taxpayer dollars to do it, to come after me. Thousands of dollars. Because I dared to stand up for what I believe in. So if this isn't enough of a teaser for you, then I don't know what else is, but please watch tonight. And if you haven't had a chance to see the whole, the totality of the series thus far, because it's not anywhere near done, if you haven't had a chance to see all of it, I would strongly encourage you to watch the entire playlist that's there as of right now. I'm going to see if I can find the link here. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, there we go. This is a link to the playlist right here. You guys can see it. Sorry, it's not all fancy. I don't know how to make that happen. Dustin said, I work with the best cops who became my best friends for a long time. The administration had eyes on me because I wasn't like them, but I was, until I realized I wasn't. When you leave law enforcement because they offered nothing, it feels like your heart gets torn out. Not a job, but a passion that made it hard for me to accept. Right, Dustin, exactly. And then you're the bad guy forever. I guys want you guys to think about this. You're the bad guy forever after this. People don't know how to approach you. They don't know how to talk to you. I've had some people reach out to me. One of the people that I thought was spying on me has reached out to someone who I love and care for and said, it wasn't me, I promise you. I didn't have anything to do with what was done to TC. I want to go back here to Elsa's comments. Elsa, I don't know. You must follow me on YouTube because I'm sorry if we know each other. I apologize if we've chatted before. I don't remember. This is what they do to people. I was on Unsafe Space with Carter and Carrie a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the things that we talked about. Carter, Carrie both mentioned it. It is they do their level best to destroy any officer, any deputy, any person within the law enforcement community who thinks for themselves, who's willing to stand up and ask hard questions. They'll destroy you because they cannot have you be the contagion that destroys their authority. And while we talk so much about sheriffs being the highest authority in any given county, at any given time, they're no less a political animal than the chief of police is. They get into office and they desire to stay there. And in some places, being able to stay there means they're a law and order, follow the Constitution kind of person. And in other places, it's toe the socio-political cultural line. And that's what Torgerson is doing. I have story after story after story after story of people who have been abused by him and by Brian Howard and the chief deputy of law enforcement. Story after story after story of people who got out of law enforcement because of what Torgerson did to them, how he treated them. And we were always led to believe that it was because the person had some sort of moral failing. And to my discredit and to my shame, a lot of times I bought into that. I fell for that. And it took being abused by that system. It took being attacked, persecuted by Torgerson and Howard and others for me to realize that those people were not the bad guys. If you live in Olmsted County, Minnesota, the Rochester area, Kevin Torgerson has wasted thousands of your dollars persecuting people, getting rid of them for no other reason than to just get rid of them. And this year is your chance to take that back. Go out and file a data practices request, not for the personnel files of people who have been abused by him, but if you want, if you live in Olmsted County, you can tell them, file a data practices request through Olmsted County and say, I am aware of a deputy being disciplined last year in 2021, and that he was placed under internal investigation. I do not want the data related to the investigation. I want the data related to the cost of the investigation and the cost of the time that he was placed on paid administrative leave. Find out how much. Find out how much money they spent to get rid of me and what they had to pay to get me to resign. And the only reason I resigned was because I just could never go back to work for him, because I don't trust him, and neither should you. So once again, tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my YouTube channel, and then share it and see the kind of ridiculous, asinine things they said and did. I appreciate you guys watching, and I look forward to hearing your feedback to tonight's video. Till next time, my patriot friends, my brothers and sisters in the cause, Sic Semper Tyrannis.